Bet. Okay. Hey everyone. Hey everyone. Welcome to Day of Debates. There's 85 people in here. Thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate it. If you could, please tap and like the live and share it out to anybody who's like a debate fanatic. Welcome to like the final round of the Day of Debates Professional Debate League tournament. So it's the PDL tournament, basically. We really appreciate your guys' support. This is a tournament that we're hosting to basically sort of try to start like a professional league of debaters. And today somebody will be walking away with $300 cash if they win this round. Today we got Divinityy versus Kayj on ethical egoism is true. And they're debating to see if they're going to win the entire tournament. In regards to the debate today, if you have any extra spare change, please gift the debaters first. They're here debating, gift the judges. We really appreciate them for being here debating and judging. And, if you have any extra change, gift the host, which is me, Kylo, and AR. We both have worked really hard to organize this and really hard to make the graphic for each round.
Troy is here. I'm sorry. I got
okay. Oh no, you're good.
We got the Troyer, so we're gonna have the Troyer up. Good.
But also, if you can't gift, we totally understand. Times are hard right now. We just appreciate you guys being here and watching and just being in the room, supporting these debates, commenting under the videos, sharing it with your friends. We genuinely really appreciate you guys. We can't do it without you. We can't do what we do without people watching, sending gifts. The gifts do help. We take the Tik-Tok money and reinvest it into like this project that we're doing, and we reinvest it into like our individual projects. So thank you guys for being here. And with that, we're going to start the final round of the Day of Debates PDL, Professional Debate League Tournament. And after this, there will be more tournaments. There will be more events. And we are ecstatic and happy to edit those videos, put it on YouTube, and get it to you guys and do what we do. So with that, the format is going to be, I think, 7-minute openers, 3 rounds of 5-minute cross-examinations, and 3-minute closers. So what?
7 minutes cross.
Oh, 7-minute cross? 7-minute opener, 7-minute cross?
The chat. Yep. 3 7-minute.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, we can do like... Yeah, we can do 5-minute openers and then 7-minute cross-examinations and then like 3-minute closers.
I mean, I'd rather have a longer whatever, bro. That's fine.
No, we already discussed it in the chat, in the group chat. We discussed that it's gonna be 7 minutes.
No, okay. I know. It's just like we lost like 30 minutes of time. No, it's fine.
All right, let's go.
Okay, so we can do 7-minute openers, 7-minute cross exams, and then like 3-minute closers. We can do that.
Or hear me out. 7-minute openers, 5-minute crosses. Does that work?
No, we already agreed with 7. We already agreed.
But we agreed to that before you took 30 minutes.
Yeah, okay, that's what I'm saying. Like me and Kayj both want to do 5-minute cross.
Okay, so how do we move forward? So what are we gonna?
Wait, Kayj.
7-minute opener, 5-minute cross.
And then we're not gonna listen to anything you have to say. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, sounds good. Awesome.
Okay, 7-minute openers, 5-minute crosses.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So who's the affirmative? Okay. So who's the affirmative here? Is it gonna?
It says it.
It's Divinityy.
Oh, oops, my bad. Okay, so Divinityy, you're gonna get 7 minutes, and I will start it whenever you say your first word.
Is there like a counter on the TikTok? Is that what's gonna be?
Yeah, I'm gonna put a counter on you once you start.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, I'm Prophet Divinityy. My name is Liam. I'm a finance and philosophy undergraduate. I'm pro-choice. I'm a feminist. I'm a liberal. I'm 5'11", and I'm an advocate of objectivism, the philosophy of Ayn Rand. Now, with respect to the proposition ethical egoism being true, what is ethical egoism, and why should we adopt it as our moral theory? Well, to answer this, I'm going to start with illustrating the background context from which I think we should form moral theories and normative theories alike. And essentially, here's it. Each individual confronts the same basic, constant, existential dilemma, which I will refer to as the problem of action. And this can be expressed as the question, how should I act? So to solve this problem, to deal with the reality of our power to choose freely, or seemingly choose freely, human beings will construct moral codes and ethical theories to guide our actions. That's the purpose of them. So deontology, utilitarianism, virtue ethics, egoism, they all serve the purpose of guiding our actions by discriminating between right and wrong, good and bad, proper and improper, etc. Now, why should one adopt egoism, or any moral theory for that matter, as opposed to any other moral theory? This question poses a challenge for all moral theories and all normative theories as a whole. In answering the problem of action, which is how we should act, in constructing a moral theory, there is an implicit answer to a meta-level problem, which I will call the problem of moral authority, which is the question, why should we act? In defending an answer to the problem of action, we must first escape denialism. We first must establish the context behind acting at all. We must first explain why man acts, if there is to be any reason, in order to construct a theory about how we should. So the only plausible answer to the problem of moral authority seemingly is by appealing to hedonic psychology. So that's the feeling better or worse. That's positive experiences, affective states, pleasure, inherently motivating experiences, emotions, conscious incentives for something, those kind of things. Experiences with a hedonic valence. Now there's two examples I'm going to use to explain why this seems fundamental to agency or moral decision-making as a whole. The first one is by going with Aristotle's normal demonstration for happiness as the final end. Just reflect on literally everything you've ever done. Like, why do you do literally anything? I mean, why are we here? Why am I here? Why did it take 30 minutes for Detroit to show up, right? Presumably the answer is going to end up with something about, liking doing what they were doing. It's going to be about ultimately doing at the end of the day to feel a certain type of way, a certain kind of way that makes a difference on your emotional well-being. And that right there demonstrates that fundamental to agency, fundamental to making decisions is this component of having an effect on your emotional well-being. The second way to demonstrate this necessity of agency is to do the opposite, and that's to think about an unfeeling thing. I mean, just try to conceive for a moment an agent that feels nothing. Nothing makes any difference to their hedonic psychology. They don't feel better or worse doing anything. I mean, why would they do anything? Like, what would it even mean to say this person should do something? What would it mean to say that their actions are governed by norms? It just makes no sense to me to say that this person should do anything. If it seems like no argument at all would matter at all. So, kind of a fundamental component of agency here is the fact that there's kind of a give a fuck aboutness to acting, and norms have to somehow relate to and map onto the give a fuck aboutness of acting at all. So now that we've established that. The problem of moral authority, what I think the answer and the solution is enjoyment. Why we do anything at all, why agents act is for their own enjoyment. Now, transitioning to the problem of action, the only normative view I think that is completely consistent with having enjoyment as the end of morality is egoism. And that's the doctrine that holds the sole moral standard as one's own self-interest. That the good is that which furthers the interest of man and the bad is that which harms them. My specific kind of ethical egoism is called rational egoism, or sometimes called virtuous egoism, which is characterized by an emphasis on the importance of being rational and objective to discover and pursue one's own interests. Now, all other moral theories fail at securing one's own enjoyment as the proper end of ethics, and therefore are unable to solve the problem of moral authority, disqualifying them as candidates for a successful moral theory. Now, to give some kind of preliminary comments on how the debate and the win conditions are going to go, it's important to understand that in order for ethical egoism to be true, I just have to establish the egoistic character of ethics. Now, there is debate to be had about whether or not going to the helping children is selfish or any of these other things, any of these particular case examples. But I mean, those are broadly irrelevant to the actual point, which is that ethics is about your self-interest. Discovering what in particular counts as your self-interest. I mean, it can be kind of helpful to elucidate the concept, but it's not necessary to understand that morality properly has a selfish character. Attempted reductios through case examples will not succeed for those two reasons. One of them being that the argument for egoism that I've laid out is grounded in the very nature of agency and moral decision making. So intuition pumps or attempted counterexamples where you just stipulate something being good or bad are just necessarily going to have less credence than the egoism hypothesis, because the case for egoism is going to be untouched, right? And secondly, the reason why those kinds of reductio stuff that won't work is because the accommodation of the counterexamples is procedurally less important than having a kind of coinciding with the meta-ethical requirements you just laid out, with the requirements of agency and the problem of moral authority. So we should judge and adopt normative views based on their ability to account for the problems relative to their procedural significance. And of course, the most important procedural problem is accounting for the problem of moral authority. So you shouldn't allow the interlocutor to kind of like stipulate cases and then be like, oh, explain this, when it's actually kind of irrelevant to procedurally the most important thing. Yeah, essentially that's it. Another, theoretical advantage of egoism is that, given that moral codes and ethical theories have a functional purpose, which is guiding action, an advantage that egoism has over alternative moral theories is that it's practical and it is something that, very clearly relates to guiding your life. I mean, if you think about some of these more detached theories like deontology, or like this really immense utility, like, really immense, like rigorous, demanding process like utilitarianism requires, it's very impersonal, it's very impractical at times, and it's often unclear on the actual guidance in your day-to-day life. Whereas egoism is like very clear. It's about your day-to-day life. It's about like going to work. It's about who you should be dating. It's about what you should spend with your time. And the other theories are it's kind of hard to determine what to do with this theory. So looking forward to this debate. Thanks so much, Day of Debates moderators. Thanks so much, my interlocutor and my judges. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for your opening statement, and that will conclude your opening statement with about 10 seconds on the clock. Kayj, you're going to go next with a 7-minute opener. It will start whenever you say your first word.
Yeah, right. So what's up today? My name is Kavan. That's my actual name, by the way. I figure we get that out there considering my lovely wife put that in the chat. Whatever, moving forward. So today we're debating this like idiosyncratic view that some person named Ayn Rand created a while ago, a school of philosophy, particularly the normative theory. Right? Keep in mind the normative theory, right? The proposition is ethical egoism is true. All right, so we're debating whether rational egoism more particularly, right, and that's going to be synonymous with ethical egoism in this case, is just the claim that all moral reasons are grounded solely in self-interest. Now, she has very idiosyncratic notions of all these terms, which will constantly get brought up in the debate, right? So let's just get clear. Let's just step back for a second and talk about all the win conditions of this debate relative to my position. My win condition for this debate is just to show that his normative theory, right, rational egoism, is false, or at least very plausibly false, right? Because it's either inconsistent or fails to account for the full meaning of moral language, which either deontic or evaluative, so on and so forth, right? And to do this, right, to sufficiate this win condition is just going to be consistent of 3 main arguments, right? So I have 3. One is the argument from conflict, the argument from altruism, and the semantic gap argument. So I'll lay them out formally. And they'll all be explained further in crosses and so on and so forth, right? So premise 1 for the argument of altruism is if egoism is true, supererogation is false. Supererogation is true, so, egoism is false, right? The second argument is going to be the argument from conflict, right? So if objective egoism is true, or rational egoism is true, then moral and prudential reasons are necessarily identical. It is possible that moral and prudential reasons conflict. If it's possible that they conflict and they cannot necessarily be identical, therefore, rational egoism is false. The third and most interesting argument on my view, right, is the semantic gap argument, right? So my interlocutor, right, has to answer this one particularly. So premise 1 is if the rational egoist, more particularly the objectivist moral naturalism is true, right, moral predicates refer to natural properties, right? That's just their view. It is possible to have coherent moral discourse about supernatural agents where no natural properties obtain. Right? And if moral language applies meaningfully without natural properties, it cannot be identical to them. The first conclusion that is moral predicates are not reducible, and then the second tertiary argument for that is if moral properties are not reducible, then rational egoism is false. Now, all 3 of these arguments, right, sufficiate the win condition, given they just show that the normative thesis here, right, is false. Now, the interlocutor that I have is going to want to pivot to all of the metaethics or the epistemology here. None of those things are relevant. All we're analyzing here in the scope of the debate, simply put, is just that rational egoism as a normative theory is false, right? So what's important here to note is, insofar as evaluating this theory, there's sort of 2 things that a good normative thesis does, right? 1, it accounts for all or most usages or plausible usages of moral language, right? And 2, it accounts for instances where agent acts, right? He, in his opening, mentioned the problems. I'll mention the very same thing, right, about the problem of authority, right? Excuse me, right? And then the problem of how you should act, right? The how I should act and why I should act that way. Well, if your normative theory does not account for why people do act that way or provide explanation for that, then that seems pretty good reason that this view isn't sufficiating its claim here. So what I'll end off with is just that my interlocutor need respond to each and every argument and sub-arguments for this views, because these three constitutive facts, right, these three constitutive arguments, not only dispel with how somebody should act on their view, but also why they act that way on the objectivist view. So let's get into it and move on to crosses. That's the opener.
Okay. Thank you for your opener. And with that, you had about 3 minutes on the clock. So now we're going to move into cross-examination, round one. Divinity, you're going to get 5 minutes, and it starts whenever you say your first word.
Okay, awesome. Okay, yeah. So let's really quickly let's start with the altruism argument. So you said if super irrigation, yeah, just give me the altruism argument. Is something about like super irrigation conflicting with egoism.
Yeah, if egoism is true, then supererogation is false. And then
can you define supererogation?
A case where an action is commendable, right, but not required.
What do you mean by commendable?
That which it is good to do.
So if an action is good and by required, what's the modality for that?
Sorry, what?
What's the modality for required?
Just that it would be like a moral modality. It's just that you should do.
I mean,
it.
trivially, if something's good, then it's required under moral modality, right?
Well, under the objective, what it means to be good, right?
Under your semantics, like what are the conditions for something being required under moral modality, if not something being good?
Okay, so you're asking on the argument semantics or my personal meta-ethics semantics?
The semantics required for your argument.
Yeah, all that's required is that supererogation is just a case where something is deontically not.
No, that's not my question. My question was, you said there's a distinction between supererogatory actions and morally required actions. But by moral requirement, the modality there is good, right? Like presumably something is morally required if some action is good, right?
Well, yeah, so what I mean by good there is the objectivist sense, just to say you have a duty to do it. But supererogation is something for which is good in an evaluative sense.
But by duty, do you mean something being good?
No.
So, for example, is the proposition if something is good, then you have a duty to do it? Is that true under the semantics of your argument?
No, the argument is just if somebody. We'll just extrapolate the view, right? We'll just extrapolate these semantics. If somebody has prudential reason for doing something, then they can. If somebody has.
That's the conflict argument. We're talking about the altruism.
I'm talking about what egoism is. Egoism, at least as Rand defines selfishness here.
Okay, this is kind of relevant here. So the point here is you're saying there's supererogatory actions, which in your view is an action which is good but not morally required.
No, well, I already told you I'm correcting that. It's an action for which is deontically commendable, right? They have a duty to do.
Okay, hold on, pause. So I just want to clarify. We're backtracking what you said the definition of supererogatory was.
Yeah, I just said that 10 seconds ago. Look, when I'm in.
Hold on. Yeah. So when you say so you said something is supererogatory if it's deontically commendable?
No, something is supererogatory if it's not deontically required. It is commendable, but not required.
By deontically required, that means what?
You do not, by deontically required, you have a duty to do it.
And by duty there, you mean what?
You just have by duty means in a case where you have some conditional, right, you should do it.
What is that? So when you say have some conditional, do you mean like the conditional?
Yeah, like the example is just if I'm.
I don't want an example. I want the conditions by which something is good under your view. So you're saying under duty, right? View. No. Well, in your semantics, you say duty here. What is meant by duty?
I told you it's meant by duty.
No, you didn't. Okay, maybe tell me again. What do you think duty means there?
Yeah, you have an obligation. There's an obligation at present.
And by obligation there, the semantics is what?
Okay, I'm sorry. What was this? You asked me first to define.
Just what's the semantics for obligation? The question you're answering is what's the semantics for obligation?
Yeah, I understand I'm trying to understand how this is relevant.
Okay, you can understand that on your cross. What's the semantics for obligation?
Yeah, just the regular deontic sense of obligation.
Which is what? Define it. Hello?
You're asking me to define what an obligation is?
Yeah, and under your semantics for the argument, what's obligation?
Yeah, they just have a commitment. That's all I mean.
By commitment there, what does that mean? By commitment, do you mean is good?
Yeah, by commitment.
When you say commitment, you mean what?
Yeah, by commitment, I just mean bound to do something, right?
And by bound there, do you mean it's good to do?
No.
What do you mean then?
I just mean to be commendable. It's like people.
And by commendable, I mean, there's just a fucking circle of terms you can't define.
Well, look, if you'd let me give the stop stealing.
I don't want an example. I want you to define what you're saying.
What I'm going to say here.
I'm not terrified. You're just not giving me a concise answer to my question.
I'm actually going to give you instances, which obviously
I don't want exemplification. I just want you to define the terms of your argument.
Right. Well, okay. If I can't define it and I go to give you a meaning, would that be?
You can't define. Sorry, true or false. You can define the terms in your argument.
Well, this isn't a term of my.
True or it's your argument. It's premise one. What are you talking about? True or false?
At no point in my argument.
At no point did you give me a definition that didn't repeat itself. True or false? You can give me a definition for the terms in your argument.
The claim we're talking about is whether or not.
Answer my question. Stop dodging. True or false? You can give me the definition for the terms in your argument.
Yeah, false.
Okay, so I mean, you just don't have a fucking argument because you can't give a semantic reduction of the terms. Good job. Okay, that's fine. I'll concede the rest of my time here.
Okay. With that, we're going to move on to Kayj's first examination. You're going to get 5 minutes, and Steph's going to resay your first one.
Yeah, right. So is it the case that you're absolutely dumbfounded by what supererogatory cases are and you're an egoist?
No.
Okay, so you have an understanding of what it means for something to be supererogatory.
Yeah, I actually don't believe in supererogatory actions.
Yeah, but that wasn't the question. I'm sorry, that wasn't the question. You understand what it means if an agent labels a case as supererogatory.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say.
Okay, awesome. You know what I'm trying to say. Great. Then we can move forward, right? So it is the case, right, that on supererogatory cases, it's incompatible with the egoist view. Now, I just want to be clear here. What's your response to this?
Yeah, because in the way that, given that you tried to define supererogatory in this like deontically required way, because I'm not a deontologist, because my ethics is axiologically grounded, I don't use the term supererogatory.
Wait, I'm sorry, that wasn't the question. The question was...
It was an answer to the question.
Yeah, the question
Yeah, I just explained the motivation for the answer. Good job.
My time, right? Remember?
Yeah, it is your time.
Yeah,
Reclaim
let
it.
me reclaim that shit,
reclaim
right?
it.
How about you?
Reclaim it, go.
Yeah, so the case of the question I'm asking is, if you know what I mean to say here, right, you have a grasp of the concept, then just engage with the concept.
Is that a question?
Yeah, sorry, the question, right, implicit there.
Good job.
On supererogatory cases, do you believe them? Let's just get clear. Do you believe them to be compatible with Rand's...
Holy shit, false premise. Sorry, false premise. I don't actually believe, like, the term supererogatory. I don't believe in supererogatoriness. Like, I know what the functional role of calling something...
What I'm asking is, do you know what it means?
So I'm telling you, if I know what it means, you think I'm saying, do I know what functional role it plays in the argument? I know what functional role it plays.
I'm asking, do you have a grasp of the concept? Right, when I say...
Yeah, I know what it means with respect to deontic semantics, yes.
Hold on, Divinity, put a muzzle on it. Look, if I were to say, look, this case here is where this agent or subject displayed a supererogatory inclination or a supererogatory feat, would you know what that word is capturing there?
Yeah, I know what it means under my semantics. I don't know what it means under your semantics.
Okay, awesome. Then insert yours if mine are too fucking woo.
Well, under my semantics doesn't apply here, right?
Oh, okay. What's the argument for that? What's the sort of reduction there?
Yeah, I'll explain it for you. So supererogatoriness is usually understood as something being over and above the requirements of morality. Now, I don't believe it's presumably the requirements of morality. In moral modality, something is required if it's good, right? So just trivially anything that you should do is morally required.
What's the argument that we're collapsing deontic and evaluative properties?
Well, I didn't say that. Holy shit, where'd you get that from?
You said something is good insofar as it's required.
No, I said under moral modality, presumably something being required by morality just is just to say it's good.
Yeah, that's
right.
Okay, so let me be clear here.
Yeah, because I'm not a deontologist. I'm axiological.
Let me just be clear. Do you take, right, so just so I understand, you're an axiologist, right? So you actually don't think deontic properties are a thing?
If I deontic, yeah, I don't think deontically. I think axiologically.
Yeah, so you just, wait, I'm not asking if you think this way. I'm saying, do you collapse axiological properties with deontic ones?
What do you mean by collapse?
Yeah, if you were to say something is right, would that be identical to saying something is good?
When I say something, well, I mean, it's context dependent, right? I mean, you could say the terms...
Okay, it's context dependent on what? What's the conditional?
On the context? Holy shit, the antecedent being the context, what do you mean?
No shit, the antecedent is the context. I'm asking for the...
Do you want like an example?
Well, I would accept ostensive things here. I don't think that's crazy, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so for example, if I looked at someone and they told me that they, I don't know, they broke up with their girlfriend because their girlfriend's a trifling piece of shit, I would say, hey man, you did the right thing. And the term right there would mean the same thing as you did something good.
And that would be to say you did what you should have done?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you're just erasing deontic language entirely and not addressing for the cases.
Yeah, I'm not a deontologist. I just told you
there's a distinction going
on.
on.
Yeah, you just realize I'm not the view I said I'm arguing against.
Yeah, no, what I'm asking here, Divinity. Right?
My semantics are not deontic.
What I'm asking here for is on the cases where there is, like, so when you reject the deontic evaluative thing, right, and I provide you a case where somebody did something supererogatory, which is just to say they did something over and above the bounds of morality.
I don't grant that people...
And everybody would call that good, but they wouldn't say they had an obligation to.
I don't grant that.
Oh, I'm sorry, you don't grant what?
I'm not granting that people can do something supererogatory given the definition of the term.
Okay, so you want like an argument for something being supererogatory?
Yeah, because my point here is that if something's morally required, presumably that just means if something's required,
You're just
morality,
redefining the terms such that they collapse. I got that. Right?
Under what modality is it not required? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, I get that. You're just like, I understand the semantic illiteracy.
I mean, if you can specify the modality, I mean, there's like moral modality, and like extra moral modality.
I'll just give you a supplementary argument for the conditional, right? And that's just to say, if all moral, I'll give you the argument, right? I'll write it down, right? If all moral reasons are self-interested, then there are no genuine moral reasons to perform acts that don't serve one's own interest. But supererogatory acts are precisely the acts that go against self-interest. Therefore, if egoism is true, no supererogatory acts exist, which is just to support the conditional.
Wait, what the fuck? Wait. Do you think that was modus tollens? Is that what you think that was?
What?
What inference rule was that? Holy blunder. You don't even know what fucking inference rule you are right now. You don't even know the inference rule of the fucking argument you decided to construct on the fly.
Wait, I literally just told you.
Like, what? Okay. What did you didn't know?
Okay, stop right there. We're moving into the second round of cross-examination. Divinity, you're going to get 5 minutes when you start your first bid.
Yeah, okay, so I mean, I have to address all the arguments, so I'll just wrap up the last bit there with a comment, which is that the whole point is that the term supererogatory is to say you're going above and beyond the moral requirements. But for me, every time you analyze whatever the modality is for requirement, on moral modality, presumably the requirement is just being good. So I mean, like, there's no such thing as, like, you know, broadly, that there is a supererogatory moral action, given that it's good, it would be morally required. Like, that's just like saying there's like moral modality and extra moral modality, and it's just very unclear what exactly the line is there. And obviously, I don't think they've done any, at all the sufficient legwork to justify that, you know, such actions exist or what the modality is, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, you shouldn't even accept this kind of cases, but that's going to tell you the eventual. Anyway, so let's look at this argument from Conflict. You said, if it is possible that there are moral and prudential reasons conflict, then egoism is false.
Are you just missing you want me to just produce it because you missed the conditional?
Sorry, that's premise 2 though, right?
Yeah, the premise 2, it's possible that moral and prudential reasons conflict, yeah.
On what modality?
Asking the modality of the conflict?
The modality of the possibility in premise 2?
Oh, yeah, just logically.
Why would that make egoism false? Given premise 1. Like, what's the argument for premise 1, actually? Yeah. Actually, sorry. Repeat premise 1 so I'm not missing it.
Yeah, premise 1 is if rational egoism is true, then moral and prudential reasons are necessarily identical.
And that's logically necessary?
Yeah.
Why would that be a requirement of fucking egoism?
Because do you take prudential reasons to be...
I'm looking for an answer. I'm not looking for a question. What's the argument for premise 1?
Because on the case where Rand defines reasons as solely prudential, all moral reasons as solely prudential reasons...
Why would I assume that quantifies across all possible worlds? Why would anybody interpret that?
Are you just asking for the argument for the conditional?
That's what I asked you for, and then you started yapping.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You asked me for the argument for the conditional, and
what is the argument
you stopped
for premise
me before
1?
Giving the argument.
What is the argument for premise 1?
Okay, I'm glad we finally got to it. Holy fuck, right? So objectivism, right, holds that the only rational
is that premise 1?
Is the. I'm sorry. Do you agree with this before? Because this is a term.
Can you just give me a supplementary argument?
Yeah, I just need to get clear on the terms. Is that fine?
I don't need a runway, bro. Just give me a supplementary argument.
All right. What one ought to do morally, which follows from the term I was about to tell you analytically, is just what promotes one's own rational self-interest prudentially. So therefore, if egoism is true, moral and prudential...
What inference rule was that? Wait, holy shit. Wait, sorry. What was the premise that justifies premise 1?
Yeah, it's analytic. And I was about to give you the meaning of the word such that you'd understand it's analytically true.
Okay, so your premise 1 is analytically true?
No.
In light of what term?
Look, the definition of rational egoism is just to say that the only rational standard of value is one's own individual life and flourishing. Yes.
Yeah. Why would you understand that with respect to all possible worlds?
Because, well, I'm taking it respect.
Why would anybody understand that Rand is making a quantification across every logically possible world when she says that?
Insofar as she's an objective.
Like when scientists say water is H2O, do you think they're quantifying against all logically possible worlds?
Well, I think so, yeah, but that's not the point.
You think that is the fucking point? I mean, you interpreted Ayn Rand as making a statement about every logically possible world.
Well, yeah, you can look, even if you don't take it categorically, you can conditionalize it and say, insofar as somebody is a Randian objectivist, then it's the case that they hold that the only rational standard of value is an individual's own life and flourishing.
Across all logically possible worlds?
Yeah, with the conditional, yeah.
Assuming they're objective, why would being an objectivist say that across all logically possible worlds?
Because that's literally, look, what follows when I say I'm an objectivist, or when you say I'm an objectivist, right, which is just to say I'm psychotic, is also to say that I take it that the only standard of value is one that's rational and of an individual's own life and flourishing.
Only with respect to what? Only with respect to what set? The set of all logically possible worlds, or with respect to the actual world?
Well, you could quantify over both, presumably.
Yeah, you're just the objective is just quantifying over the actual world. Good job. So, I mean,
Wait,
do you understand
that?
that?
Your claim? Because I don't take it that way.
Yes. Ayn Rand is only talking about the actual world. If you read the fucking first thing,
when she says she should do X, that's not a type of modal statement there.
That's with respect. That's an evaluation of you with respect to the actual world, which is why when you go on Google
with respect to the actual
right now,
world.
Sorry, it's my cross. When you go, that's why when you go on Google, you type in what is objectivism, it will tell you it's Ayn Rand's philosophy for living on Earth. She's not making quantifications across every possible world.
Is that a question?
Why would you interpret it like that? I mean, do you have a single piece of evidence that you can quote to me right now that makes you think she's saying that?
Yeah, if you just go into the...
Sorry, that was a yes or no question. Do you have a single piece of evidence?
Yeah, but
you can quote me right now.
So the answer is yes.
Okay, quote it right now.
Yeah, so if you go into the Ayn Rand lexicon and you just type in rational egoism.
Just give me a quote. I'm not interested in your soliloquy.
Yeah,
give me a quote.
Only rational standard of value is a man's own individual life and flourishing.
Why would you understand only with respect to all logically possible worlds as opposed to just with respect to the actual?
I actually take only there to be quantifying over the particular standard, not the modality there. I think she's
why would you say that if there's a logically possible world like that?
Because I think she's quiet on the modality. I think she's completely quiet on it.
Then why would you make the fucking modality logical?
Because that's a bigger defense for the claim. Okay, is my time now?
Okay, with that, we're moving up to Kayj's cross-examination. We'll start whenever you say your first word.
Awesome. Yeah, so he kind of already moved on to the argument, right? So let's just get clear, right? If Ayn Rand's quiet on the matter, I could just make a weak contingent version of this, and the argument would still follow through. However, given Rand defines the term rational egoism in that way, that's just what it analytically means. So any given world wherein this thing is true, then that thing would follow, which means you can quantify over what somebody should or shouldn't do given this standard. You can conditionalize over possible worlds. I don't know why he thinks this is ridiculous, but look, do you want me to reevaluate the argument, or do you have an actual objection other than some type of nuh-uh?
Yeah, with respect, okay, well, I mean, it's wrong to characterize it as a nuh-uh when you're like uncharitably interpreting what she says and strawmanning it. But yeah, with respect to you
what's
saying,
the strawman?
I just told you, she's not quantifying, when she says the only standard of value is man's life. That's not to say that the only standard of value across possible worlds is man's life. That's not what she's saying.
Yeah, I take it that's not what she's explicitly saying. But
yeah, that's not the implication of what she's saying.
Right? Remember, but if you say rational egoism is this thing, right? You define it as the rational standard of value as an individual life and flourishing, blah 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 gibberish, and then you quantify where you say if this standard is true, then you should do this given particular instances that would hold across possible worlds. And why it's not a straw man?
Wait, hold on.
She gives a modal account. Right?
False.
So when I quantify over modally, that's perfectly fine.
That's false.
Wait, she gives a modal account? What is it?
No, what I'm saying is false.
Okay,
is
well,
that
that's not false, right? So let's get on to
I'm telling you what's false. Sorry, I said that's false and you continue to speak. What's false is when she says egoism is true. That's just saying that in all possible worlds, egoism is true. She's not saying that. Which is why in all possible worlds, it's not required that the moral reasons and the prudential reasons.
Wait, do you think that this argument is saying that irrational egoism, like I'm granting that necessarily egoism is true here?
No. Premise 2 that you had in your argument in order to make, it's like modus tollens, yes?
Premise 2 is, well...
It's modus tollens, that's the inferential. The argument is modus tollens, and premise 2 is a denial of the consequent, presumably, right? Yes, yeah, and the second premise is that it is possible for moral and prudential reasons to conflict. And the possibility there is quantified across all the possible worlds. But Ayn Rand's not saying in every possible world egoism is true. So I don't know why you would interpret her saying that.
Because I can interpret it because it's what she means by the word.
You're interpreting her saying all possible worlds are egoism.
No, I'm interpreting what she means by the word and then adding a conditional if this thing is
No, you're not. Ayn Rand is not saying that across all possible worlds.
I know. Look. Let's be clear here. I understand that she's not adding some type of necessity case here, but what she is saying is that necessarily moral and prudential reasons are identical. Now, what
necessary with respect to logical modality?
But she might be
with respect to logical modality?
My microphone is here. What?
She's not saying that with respect to logical modality.
She's not commenting on the modality. Do you have any piece of evidence that would talk about what modality she's quantifying over?
Well, yeah, obviously, like the entirety of Ayn Rand's literature.
Cite one thing. Quote it.
Sure. Okay. I mean, I need a lot of quotes here. You want everything?
Yeah, I want one quote that explicitly.
You can take her essay on the analytic synthetic, or Peikoff's essay on the analytic synthetic and Ito.
Wait, his?
Yes.
Okay, so when we say Ayn Rand's objectivism, you think I'm talking about Leonard Peikoff?
When I say egoism is true, what do you think I'm talking about? I told you.
Ayn Rand's ethical rationale. You literally said in your opening.
If you did slightly any research, you know that.
Remember, you literally said in your opening by Ayn Rand, ethical egoism, which as Ayn Rand means it. I don't take that Peikoff and Rand are identical people, right? You might take that, but look, it's the case that if you can't produce a quote where Ayn Rand particularly commits to a particular modality given this argument, then I can quantify over it. And that's not required. You might find it uncharitable.
That's not required.
Just to say that the view is
that's not required.
So
That's not required. So
let's
if
just
you
move
use
on.
slightly, I'll tell you
Is
why
your
it's not
argument
required.
only that the
I'll tell
modality
you
of
why.
the argument is false, and you don't actually have
I'll tell you why. Look, when you say, look, no, okay, well, which one you don't you address? The first thing about what's required of me quoting Rand, or do you want me to address the other thing?
Well, first thing, I don't think you can produce a quote by Rand. You said Peikoff, right?
Yeah, Peikoff is the foremost Rand scholar. Like,
Right,
you can
but
quote
you
him.
said in your opening, you're talking about how Rand uses the term. You
Yeah,
actually said
Peikoff is.
rational
Did you hear what I
egoism by
said?
Rand.
He's a Rand scholar. He can like what do you talk? Like, he's a trustworthy source on Rand's philosophy. That's like the whole purpose.
Okay,
That's his whole
I'm
function.
willing to be charitable here and say, okay, what did Peikoff comment on the modality for this point?
For this point, or with respect to Rand, she's talking about the actual world.
No,
It's very
what
clear
is a
using
quote
the
by
historical
Peikoff
evidence that Rand is not
shows-
quantifying against possible worlds. She doesn't speak like that.
Well, she does speak like that. Presumably, when she says, "Look, a man
Where?
should do-"
No, she doesn't. What?
Presumably, when she says a man should follow his rational nature, which is just some metaphysical gibberish, what she's saying there is metaphysically, it's the case that these men have this nature, and if it's the case that men exist in a possible world, they have this nature.
If men exist in a logically possible world or a metaphysically possible world?
Well, take it that if men exist, then it's
Do you see
obviously
this
both
equivocation? Do you see this
metaphysically and
equivocation?
logically possible.
You see this equivocation? When
Wait,
Ayn
I'm
Rand
not
makes statements.
equivocating on. Look, did you not just hear what I just said? Look, I'll finish my time.
I heard
there.
so. That's why I'm saying you're equivocating.
When she says that it's metaphysically a man's nature, and I say in some possible world where man exists, obviously it's the case it's both metaphysically and logically possible. That doesn't mean I can't quantify over it logically, given metaphysical and
That's not the contention I'm making here.
Okay, we have to stop it there. Now we're going to move on to the third round, Divinity. You get 5 minutes on the clock when you start your first word.
Sorry, I got a call. I might get one in a second. Okay. Yeah, sorry. So, yeah, I just want to make a super last point on this, like, prudential moral reasons thing. I mean, when Ayn Rand says... Oh, I'm getting fucking spammed by a call. Hold on. When Ayn Rand says that the only standard of value is one's rational self-interest, I just want to clarify that that's one's standard of value with respect to certain antecedent conditionals, like the fact that she's quantifying over the actual world. She's not quantifying over all men in every logically possible world. She's not making a statement like that. I just want to clarify. So when the argument is supposed to motivate itself by saying it's possible that moral and prudential reasons conflict. Well, if the modality is logical, then like simply there being a logically possible world where that is the case does not necessitate that egoism is false, because egoism is in a statement about the non-conflicted prudential moral reasons across all logically possible worlds. It's a statement about them in the actual world. So I mean, let's not troll here. Now I guess I'll just ask for an argument motivating. Actually, yeah, let's just look at semantic. We'll look at the third argument. The semantic gap argument. So I mean, you're just asserting rational egoism as moral non-naturalism, or sorry, moral naturalism.
What was your question? Sorry, you yapped.
You're just asserting that rational egoism is moral naturalism, yeah?
Well, you're a synthetic naturalist.
That's the assertion you're making?
Well, yeah, it's just trivially entailed. Yeah.
Define synthetic naturalism.
You hold that moral facts are identical with, constituted by certain natural facts.
They're constituted by?
Yeah, that was the
exclusively natural facts?
Sorry, what?
Exclusively natural facts?
No, synthetic naturalism, right? Your view holds that moral facts are identical with or constituted by certain natural facts.
Yeah, and by natural fact there you mean what?
Well, natural here can pertain to a bunch of things. I think the way Rand uses it is, as belongs to physicalism or as belongs to causal trains.
Yeah, so fun fact, so just already fucking insane blunder from you. Ayn Rand has never described herself as a moral naturalist and a synthetic naturalist. She doesn't even use the term synthetic, okay? And what you just described, I wouldn't co-sign and Rand wouldn't co-sign. It's actually not a commitment made by my argument, made by me defending the proposition, and you invented that.
Oh, I have a quote?
Yeah, please quote me. Go for it.
Yeah, so she says that objectivism specifically grounds the good in that which sustains and promotes life, which if you don't think that which sustains and promotes life is certain natural facts, then what the fuck is she quantifying over there, Liam?
Wait, okay, hold on. So Ayn Rand believing in natural facts being relevant to morality is not the same thing. Hold on, I'm telling you right now. Ayn Rand believes that goodness specifically is a kind of relationship that an agent, right, a conscious, evaluative agent, has to natural facts. That's not to say that
has to natural facts. Whether it is,
it's not. It doesn't. Hold on. You said it was identical to a natural fact.
No, I didn't.
That's not identical to a natural fact. Also, calm down. Given your semantics for the term natural, Ayn Rand wouldn't co-sign something like physicalism or anything like that.
Is there a question here?
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, she wouldn't co-sign.
Are commands a question? Holy fuck!
I didn't say I was commanding you, moron. I'm telling you right now as a point, and you're gonna respond. Lock the fuck in.
Okay, so here's what I actually said.
Oh, and now you're buttering. Sorry, ceasing my time. Holy shit, stop. Look, when you say that Ayn Rand commits herself to moral naturalism, that's just not true. She's not making a claim about morality being reducible to, what did you say? She said natural means physical. Is that what you said?
What? No.
What did you say natural meant?
I said it's something about physicalism.
Something about, what the fuck does that mean? Sorry, just give me the necessary sufficient conditions for something to be natural.
Well, look, on her view, clearly what she means.
Is that necessary or sufficient?
Yeah, by natural, they mean have some causal closure. On her view, particularly her view.
Okay, sure. Okay, sorry. If natural just means is causally within the causal closure, sure. Okay, then what's the motivation for? Sorry, let me look at this argument again. I think close. What's the argument? Sorry, you said if non-natural language is coherent, then egoism is false.
What the fuck? No.
That's what you said. You said if
No,
non-natural moral language is coherent, then egoism is false.
No, I didn't. Do you want me to deliver the argument? Is that
deliver the argument.
I'm sorry, what? I didn't hear you. What did you? I didn't hear you.
So I got a call. Yes, deliver the argument.
Okay, if moral naturalism is true, moral predicates refer to natural properties. It's possible. Or sorry, that was premise one. Premise two.
I just got a call. Can you start over? Sorry, this guy keeps
that's fine. Premise one is if objectivist moral naturalism is true, moral predicates refer to natural properties. P2. It's possible to have coherent moral discourse about supernatural agents, aka no natural properties. P3.
Wait, what the fuck? Do you interpret rational egoism to be a semantic thesis?
Well, actually, we're getting to my point. Holy fuck! Holy.
Yes or no?
Let's get going.
Yes
so
or
do you want
no?
me to finish the argument, or do you want to ask?
That was a yes or no. That was a new question. Yes or no?
I take it that it doesn't have a semantic thesis. That's the problem.
Then why would it be the case that if the language is coherent, then it's a contradiction to her view?
Well, you were about to get that in the third premise. Just hold on a second, Liam.
Okay, sure. What's premise 3?
Yeah, if moral language applies meaningfully without natural properties, then it can't be identical to them. Before is moral predicate.
We'll start Kayj's cross-examination, and you can continue.
Is this the last one, or?
Yeah, this is the last one.
Do I don't have another? I'm just trying to get clear. I don't have another one here.
This is your last one.
Okay. Yeah, so I just want to point out here a couple things. One, Liam didn't address the first two arguments. And in the third argument, what he failed to do horribly, right, was say that there's some type of contradiction and that Ayn Rand has never in her life commented on the type of thing for which promotes or sustains life rationally. Like, guy's never even read Ayn Rand in his life, apparently, because all I had to do was quickly pull up a quote. But anyways, on the argument that I delivered, Liam, the first conclusion is that moral predicates do not equal natural properties. P5 is that objectivist egoism entails moral naturalism. And conclusion from there follows from premise 3 and premise 5 that objectivist egoism is false. Now, I just want to give you a case scenario, right, where your semantics entirely fail. So have you seen the show Lucifer? That's the question.
No.
Okay, Lucifer is a show with Tom Ellis, right? Sexy ass motherfucker, by the way. And Tom Ellis is an angel derived from God, all right? And this angel is running around with other angels. And let's just stipulate here that this angel did something wrong, right? He harmed somebody else or what have you, whatever you want to use there. On the case where he does this, how does your view, obviously it's a case where if what's meant by natural and you think that all these things are reducible to these things or constituted by certain natural facts, well, the entire sentence about Lucifer hurting Amenadiel is intelligible, right? All of that stuff is intelligible, except what's meant by wrong there. If what you mean by wrong is some type of causal closure, right? Or some type of thing about physicalism. So on this view, how does your view seem to answer the why this person acted this way, which is one of your criterion for a good moral view?
Holy straw man of the view. Yeah, so a couple things. That when objectivism is making a statement about rational egoism, and you're framing them as saying moral naturalism is true, which is again something Rand doesn't say. You're putting that label on her and giving her these commitments. When they say that, and then you take that to say Ayn Rand is saying that moral predicates equal natural properties. That's not to be a uniform semantic thesis, right? And that's not to say that there's coherent meanings of moral statements that are non-natural. She's not saying that the only fucking intelligible fucking moral semantics are hers. She's never said that, and that's not a commitment of her view. I mean, that's the first thing. Now, with respect to the Amenadiel thing, obviously, if angels and heaven and Lucifer, they're causally interacting in all these different ways, like presumably they would fall under Ayn Rand semantics of natural. And if you're confused about why that would be the case, well, the reason why is because Ayn Rand doesn't use the term fucking I'm a moral naturalist.
Like, okay, if it falls under natural language, what is meant by natural there on her view?
You brought that up.
Well, yeah, you're saying it can be captured. So what's meant by natural in her?
You brought it. I don't speak using that terms, and neither does she. You brought this up, and then you want her to.
Okay, let's just be clear. When she says that moral facts are constituted by certain natural facts, What does she mean there other than something like about something that's spatiotemporally extended and or something that's...
I mean, Lucifer is spatiotemporally extended, so I mean, obviously that's coherent out of the semantics.
Wait, on his view?
In the fucking show Lucifer, you know, he like walks around the fucking LA.
Spatiotemporally extended. But
So it's understandable. What?
Right, but what's meant by wrong there?
What by what? Wait, okay, the same fucking thing that's meant by wrong when I do something. What do you mean?
But because of you ground the good in that which sustains and promotes
if fucking
life.
Lucifer's walking around on Earth with wings, that's natural as fuck. I mean, you're saying it's unnatural simply because we live in a world where that's not true.
Lucifer is immortal. So on the case where he just gets harmed by this thing.
What the fuck? The term natural is not to be understood. Okay, look, if angels were actually,
there you go. Holy fuck.
I'm telling you, if angels, look, I'm telling you, look, hold on. If angels,
I just want to be clear on a question, Liam. Let me just ask the question. You can answer.
Okay, sure, go for it.
Give you time. Look, on the case where Lucifer is immortal, such that there is no promotion or sustenance of life, and whatever Rand means by that, what is accounted for by wrong? He's going to sustain and promote life
in the show.
I'm almost done. I promise. I'm literally 2 seconds, Liam. But it seems to be the case that people would still say that Amenadiel graping the shit out of Lucifer is wrong.
Right. Yeah. So to clarify, under Ayn Rand's semantics, Lucifer is living. Okay. Now it's not required that living things by their very nature, that living things cannot, they have to be able to die. That's not required under Ayn Rand's view. If you look at the way she defines life, she says life is a self-generative, self-sustaining process. And that includes...
I'm sorry, you said on her view, death is not required?
Yeah, like if you fully understand the term death, and I can motivate
just true or false, yes or no, is it the case that she says it's a strict dichotomy, life or death, and man's rational choices pertains to the continuation or flourishing of life?
With respect to man, of course that's true.
Oh, okay, so it's not... okay, fine. You know what, I'm willing to concede that, you know, Lucifer is not a man in the way that... is that fair to say that Lucifer is not a man in that way?
Lucifer is relevantly similar in some ways and not others, yes.
Yeah, okay, so then, okay, fine. Let's just say, let you get out of... Huh?
With that would be the end of the cross exams, unless you both agree to finish that last question. But then we move on to conclusions.
You gotta ask him.
Let's just move to closing, bro.
Okay. Yep, we can get to closers. Divinity, you're going to get 3 minutes on the clock for your closer, and it starts when you say your first word.
Okay, let's start with this. Do not let this person evade the fact that in my opening, I gave explicitly the procedure by which you should evaluate a normative theory. And I said specifically that you should evaluate the merits of a moral theory procedurally based on how it addresses certain concerns ranked in terms of importance. Now, I established that the most important concern of an ethical theory is being able to be consistent with the question about why to act. Now, there is literally zero pushback from Kayj on this. And because he concedes this point, he's conceding that procedurally answering the problem of moral authority is the most important thing that an ethical theory has to do. And with respect to that, there was also zero argumentation about why ethical egoism sufficiently and is only the only ethical theory by which that meets the marks of living the life of enjoyment as the solution of ethics. None of the case in the first speech was addressed by Kayj, and that's a concession because in the case for the argument, you're conceding the procedure by which you should evaluate the round and by picking a moral theory. And that's exactly why you're voting for me. Now, with respect to the arguments, I don't really think we had an adequate time to address all of these because I mean they're all kind of in depth. But very briefly, we'll say this: with supererogatory actions, the idea is that if supererogatory actions exist, then egoism is false because supererogatory actions require that you go, above and beyond what is good. But the whole point here is that the semantics for the term good are understood deontically when you're using supererogatory actions. And I just wouldn't grant that there are supererogatory things with respect to the egoist semantics. The egoist semantics is not that there are not supererogatory actions. They're not deontically supererogatory actions. Is that there's not supererogatory actions with respect to egoism and egoism's moral modality. And so that's not a reductive, that somehow doesn't make the view impossible. It also, again, doesn't challenge the premise of the argument, which is procedurally more important in judging an ethical theory. With respect to the conflicts thing, when Ayn Rand says that the only standard for evaluating ethics is man's rational self-interest, that's quantifying over men in the actual world. And so it's not true that in some possible world, if men somehow exist in some way, that the moral prudential reasons conflict, that egoism is false. That's not true. There's also not a sufficient motivation for that premise, and obviously you can't just invent motivation. I mean, you just can't just invent motivation. There's still a burden to prove that I don't think is adequately met to defend all these premises. You can't just like throw them out. And I don't think like time constraints should be a motivation for you to accept that. They didn't really motivate those premises. And then lastly, with the semantic gap argument, I mean, the whole thing is that Ayn Rand doesn't use these terms. These terms are being imposed on by Kayj. Ayn Rand doesn't co-sign them. And then given the terms he imposed on them, he gives Ayn Rand obligations that she doesn't have to meet, never co-signed, and that the view just doesn't, remain silent on. So I don't think that affects the round. I don't think any of the arguments go through. And even if they did, they don't attack the actual primary thing that would win you the round, which is attacking the argument I gave in the opening.
Okay. And with that, that's going to be Divinity's close. Thank you for that. Kayj, you're going to get 3 minutes, and it starts when you say your first word.
So thanks everybody for listening to that. Look, I mean, let's be really, really clear here, and let's get all of this like jargon jungle nonsense out of here that he's trying to confuse everybody with. He said the win conditions, and so did I. I just had to show that it's plausibly false insofar as it doesn't answer the questions that he commented on. So let's be clear on the first cross on why he failed to sufficiently show how his things are good, right? If what he means and Rand stipulates by good is some deontic sense, such that there's some duty or obligation present, then when you take cases like the grenade jumping on the ground or any altruistic case like I've mentioned, right? The folk wouldn't say that the agent or subject that jumps on the grenade is required to do that. That's fucking absurd. Nobody would say you're required to donate your kidney and any other altruistic case that can be mentioned here. What people do is they say, look, that's awesome. That's great. That's virtuous, right? And that's just to say that there's some type of distinction between that which is good evaluatively and that which is good deontically. So trivially, what you should do here is reject this dumb collapse of the semantics as Ayn Rand would put forth, because it's stupid and doesn't capture the way people use moral language or capture why people act altruistically, which on his own matter is why, a normative view would be dog shit. So it doesn't capture people why they act or why people act this way more aptly, right? And then the second round, he said and started out the round that, on the argument for moral conflict, it is the case that there's no type of issue here on how people use moral predicates, and he said that Rand is somehow not a synthetic naturalist, even though she clearly does use that type of language and can be categorically placed there. Yeah, sure, she rejects Kantian ideas, but I don't think that's relevant for the structure or function of her view, right? And questioning that was absolutely derailing. And he's right, we didn't have enough time to get through my premises because his entire strategy of the debate was to make sure I couldn't do that because it shows that his view is more plausibly false, right? The whole point about prudential reasons not being identical to moral reasons, as I talked about in cases where people have prudential reason for an action but have moral reason against it, is just to say that there are obvious cases of this. Like when a vegan is out late at night and the only store that's open is a goddamn hamburger spot, right? Like that's the whole point. The whole point is that if there's a hamburger spot and this vegan is about to unalive, they have prudential reason to do it, but obvious moral reason not to. Right? That's the distinction there, to not collapse prudential and moral reasons. I don't think the folk use this language, and I don't think that people would agree with that. Hence what my argument aimed to display. And then the last thing, where Rand doesn't co-sign this terms of good and bad, natural or not, literally he agreed to it insofar as there's some causal closure, or insofar as there's some type of something about physicalism which left unquestioned, which I guess on his view means that you should accept that. And if you accept that, then you agree that on fictitious moral language, if you take it to be fictitious, his view doesn't capture it, which doesn't hold the first burden he showed up, which is why it's the case that people use moral language or how they should act, because people think it's wrong fictitiously. That's it.
Okay. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the entire debate.
Yes, the entire tournament.
Yeah, and the entire tournament.
Yeah.
Wow. So now, judges, what are we going to do? Do we give the judges some time? We can take audience questions while they decide.
Oh, yeah, we got to do the polls. Let's do the polls.
Yeah, we also have to do the poll.
Yeah, take the audience questions, and then, the judges will...
Yeah, I still love Divinity, but, I mean, you got to donate that money, bro. I'm just saying.
Also, yeah, I hope there's no bad blood. It's a debate. But I don't know. It was a little spicy, but I don't think there was any bad blood. But you guys are good.
In his previous debates, what do you mean spicy? This was common everyday talk.
Oh, I mean, during parts of the debate, it was getting a little bit heated, but I don't think it was anything serious. Whatever. But I guess we can do audience questions and then give the judges.
I'm doing the poll right now.
Okay. Here, let's see. Anyone request, we can bring like one person up at a time, and then judges, let us know when you're ready to like give your vote. We'll give you some time.
There it is.
How do you record, by the way?
Yeah, I'm gonna be. I think tonight I'll try to put this on YouTube. Actually, so I'll put this on YouTube and then make a post about it.
All right, Foundation, you have a question? Foundation, free delegate. You don't know that you're up here?
Foundation, you there?
Okay, all right. Well,
Yeah, we gotta get to the
stop
next
with
one.
that. All right. There's nobody that wants to ask any questions?
First, I actually I do have to do something, right? Like that wasn't rhetoric.
Oh, okay. Judges, are you ready? Are you doing good?
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. Maybe the judges first.
Good stuff, guys. Love to see it. Think there was.
I'm gonna fucking wipe out this whole panel if we don't get judges first.
Yeah. Come on, let's get judges. Okay.
Yeah. Let's do judges, and we'll
Okay,
get
mute
to
up Duber, and then we'll get the judges going first. Start with Friction.
Okay.
Yeah,
Rick. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, very good debate. Thanks, Kayj and Liam for doing it, and everyone for taking part, and the hosts for doing everything. This has been interesting. So I did take some notes here. Do want to cover it? Try not to be too long, but it probably will be long. So, yeah, it seems to me that Liam's main argument in favor of the ethical egoist view was the point about moral authority and what explains why we should do these things or why we'd be motivated to do them and how it ties in with our actual psychology, that sort of thing. And that was decent. I didn't think there was much direct engagement with that really at all from the opponent, but Kayj referred to focus on his own arguments, which was fine, but I would have liked to see more engagement with that particular point, the issue of motivation, moral authority. Although his point about how particular cases or other considerations don't undermine the view, I didn't really get that at all. Of course, we can have competing considerations here. We have one argument in support of the view based on this consideration that we want a view to satisfy, but there might be other considerations which point strongly against it, or even more strongly against it. Now, you might think that's not the case, but it wasn't clear to me why that would be in this case, but whatever. And then when it came to Kayj's opening, I was going to skip some things, but whatever. He briefly went over the three main arguments he was going to focus on. The first one was the kind of altruism supererogation argument, basically on ethical egoism. If there's no cases where something is good in a value sense, but not morally required, not something that you should do, morally speaking. But there are things, there are supererogatory actions like that. And he gave some examples, or alleged examples anyway, and focused on them a bit later as well. And so that incompatibility there undermines ethical egoism. And then the second case being where, and it's sort of a similar thing, but the conflict argument where moral and prudential reasons can conflict, where you can, it's plausible to say that there are things that you should do, but your prudential reasons point in a different direction, or vice versa. And then which if true, that shows that some moral and prudential reasons don't align, assuming prudential reasons are understood in the way that ethical egoist is understanding of moral reasons here. And then the final argument was a semantic gap argument. So on ethical egoism, moral predicates refer to natural properties, but they don't have to. This is I understood this as a kind of open question argument. When we use these terms, as we understand them, we could, for all we know, apply to things apart from natural things. And if we're claiming that as a matter of identity, they do pick up natural things, then, that would undermine that view. Now, in the first cross, there's a focus on this first argument, and Liam spent a lot of time trying to get clarity on certain terms, like required think he was asking for the modality there, but if I recall correctly, the term required only came up with respect to something being morally required, which just means it's something you should do, something that you're. Now, you might, as he did, ask for further analysis of that. It's not. I don't think Kayj. Well, he was able to give a few related or synonymous terms like you should do or you have to do morally or something like that. Or at one point he said commendable, but he shouldn't have said that because that's not necessarily required. But he wasn't able to give any further or deeper semantic analysis at that point. It's not clear to me that would be required, but anyway, that cross was sort of wasted a bit on that, I think. But anyway, when we got into the neg cross, they started talking about, well, does he believe in supererogation? Does Liam believe in it? Or does it collapse at the deontic and evaluative? I thought this was fair. I actually thought this was a pretty good point. That was a more interesting cross. And when it came to F cross 2, there they discussed the argument concerning the possibility that prudential moral reasons conflict. And this was interesting. I mean, so I think on this topic, I think both people got some things right and both people got some things wrong. So I'll comment, although what they in fact got wrong is less important to the judgment of the debate, but I'll comment on it quickly anyway. It seemed to me that Kayj's argument here presumed that Rand's thesis was an analytic one, that all that it means for something to be good or that you should do something is that, well, it satisfies certain self-interested concerns, whatever. But as far as I know, that's not what she says. It's not a claim about what the terms mean. It's a claim about, well, what they in fact pick out in the world, and not claiming that there's also that semantic thesis as well. So Liam didn't really point this out, I don't think, although later he did say something about how it's not a semantic thesis, but didn't really tie it back to that. But as I understand it, it's not a semantic thesis. However, that's not to say that it doesn't support the modal claim. And the fact that she doesn't talk in modal terms or quantify over possible worlds in this way does not show that a plausible consequence of her view is the stronger modal claim, which I actually think it is, right? If her view is that these things just are this, that in fact it's an identity claim, and we understand identity claims to be at least metaphysically necessary, you might question whether identity claims are true identity claims are logically necessary. I thought the logical necessity was a bit strange. It makes more sense if we're speaking against an analytic view, right? But it's not that, then it doesn't really apply. If we're claiming that they're identical, then possibly that says what would it mean to say that they're identical, but only like contingently so? I mean, there's some people who hold that view, but it's very controversial. I think it would be a plausible consequence. Now, Kayj could have drawn that out further or made a sort of point like that. Didn't. So some missed points there. But again, Liam could have focused more on, at that point, the fact that it's not an analytic claim, but his focus on saying that she doesn't speak or quantify over possible worlds, I think, sort of missing the point. But both in some ways got some things right, but missed things or got something wrong on that issue. I think ultimately the argument sort of survives the issues that were raised. In fact, and as part of the debate, has kind of got muddied and would have taken more time to actually work through. And then for Nick cross 2, let's see. There was this question that was raised more about whether Rand defines the term in that way. I thought, here, Liam did make a good point. I don't mean to say that it's the first good point. Which is that, ethical egoism might be the thesis that, insert the thesis, but that doesn't mean that the truth of egoism doesn't require the necessity of it doesn't require that, the egoist claim doesn't require that egoism is necessarily true, right? You could be an egoist but think that, egoism could have turned out to be false, right? And I thought that was a correct point in response to the point that Kayj just raised up before that. And then they started talking about particular quotes from Rand and Leonard Peikoff, I think. I'm trying to pronounce it. But then they got back to whether we're talking about only the actual world or quantifying what possible was, and then I repeat what I said already about that. And then he talked a little bit about logical versus metaphysical modality. I think plausibly, if you don't want the identity claims to be logically necessary, maybe you want them to be broadly logically necessary, clarify that, then you would want it to be metaphysical modality in question. But regardless, in AF class 3, this now came up whether Rand was A, naturalist, and B, a synthetic naturalist. I thought it was a bit weird here on behalf of, well, first of all, I think she definitely is, I think her view, although she wouldn't use these terms, definitely does qualify as a kind of synthetic naturalism. But I thought it was weird that Rand, Kayj would say she's a synthetic naturalist at this point, but this semantic argument from earlier, sorry, it wasn't called a semantic argument, because I would confuse it with the last argument. The claim that it would be logically necessary on ethical egoism that the moral reasons and the potential reasons would be the same, it was based on it being an analytic claim, right? That what it means for something to be good is that it conforms to your self-interest, whatever. But then if she's a synthetic naturalist, I don't know. That seems to go against that. But yeah, so then there was a discussion about the semantics there. I think it's pretty clear that, as a matter of fact, as Kayj pointed a little bit, we're talking about the moral as a function of the biological, yada yada. That it's a naturalist view, but the whole stuff about what are natural properties, I think that was quite clear or important. I'll just go for the cross 3. I did not like the example with Lucifer at all. I didn't really get that. I thought they did good to point out that, well, it does look like this would be a sort of example where Rand's reasoning would apply. Of course, Lucifer would have goals and have various things that might affect him and so on, and all the stuff relevant to morality in her view. Although I thought Kayj's other example with the omnipotent being, or something that's incapable of dying, a moral being or whatever, I forget. It was a moral being. That was a good example. Although in fact, Rand explicitly talks about an example kind of like this. She imagined a kind of immortal robot or whatever. Well, she's actually talking about an example from a particular quote, but whatever. The point is that she considered a case like that. And sort of bites the bullet, right, in the sense that this thing wouldn't fit the mold, but it doesn't really fully fit the mold, because if it could still be affected in certain ways, it might still have goals and aims. So it's not just the fact that it might exist or not exist, or it might die, that would be relevant for it having egoistic concerns. So yeah, I think that's a decent example, but there's some rejoinders, but that wasn't really explored, so I won't say anything more about that. Yeah, and then the close. I don't really have to say much more, because pretty much everything was not much more was brought up in the closings. So yeah, I'm not going to go over the close. I'll just give my judgment, which is actually really close for me. I think overall, I actually have to give it to Kayj. I liked his arguments and thought his points overall stood up better. Rhetorically, I thought Liam maybe did better on certain points, and he did have some points that he got better on, but overall, I think Kayj did better.
Thank you, Long. Thank you.
Okay, Kane is next. Kane, you can start whenever you want to.
Okay.
And thank you for being our judge today.
Yeah, I mean, I just sort of, I kind of felt like the thing is, the Divinity guy, why are you laughing? The thing is, the Divinity guy, it just sort of so quickly came out with like such a condescending and aggressive attitude. It was really, it just made it kind of very, very difficult for me to, I don't know, it wasn't very pleasant, and so, I mean, that's pretty much my take on it. Hang on, where are you going? So, I mean, I don't know. Ultimately, I have to look at this as it's not just about presenting like formal arguments. You're putting on a performance. This is you're presenting it to an audience, and so if you're going to come out with that sort of attitude, you've got to be brilliant. It's like Frank Zappa. He was a complete prick, but he was also absolutely brilliant, so he could get away with it. I don't think any of us here are really brilliant enough to get away with that. So, I'm just going to wrap it up there. I don't have a lot to say, but my judgment is I give it to Kayj. All right, there we go. So I'm going to give the phone back.
Mitch. Congrats, kids. Congrats, man. Congrats. Congratulations.
The highest form of reason. Fuck you. Let's go.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Round of applause. Let's go, man.
Mitch, you want to give your argument?
Yeah,
Mitch, you want to give your judgment?
Liam clocking at Dodge Donald's, buddy. Over to
Mitch.
Wearing, Liam. What you wearing?
Mitch.
I got that dress you like, bro. I got that dress you like on.
Mitch. Go ahead. Give us your judgment.
Okay, yeah. So the openers, I gave to Liam Divinity because, the thesis was just clearer. The win conditions were clearer. It wasn't rushed. I felt like Kayj really rushed the syllogisms and then conceded time anyway. Gave up the time, yielded time anyway. So it was like you had 3 minutes left. You could have probably spelled out the argument a bit more. Given that, so the crosses. First cross again I gave to Divinity. Second cross I gave to Kayj. Third cross I gave to Kayj. And then closes I gave to Divinity. But overall, Kayj. I'll just speed through it. Because Kayj got to go. And it doesn't matter anymore.
Okay.
Wait. Mitch gave it to Kayj?
Yeah, Mitch gave it to Kayj.
Gotcha. Okay.
Liam, my voice is gone, and my throat kind of hurts after that.
Wow. What?
But ultimately, we got to say, this was an amazing tournament. This was an amazing tournament with like amazing debaters, with like amazing topics.
What a conclusion!
Like lots of talent, lots of research done. Congratulations to the debaters. This is our professional league first tournament, and for the first tournament, Kayj has first place. Divinity, you have second place. Congratulations to both of you for outperforming a lot of competitors to get here, and also congratulations to the other competitors for like how well they did. This has been an amazing event, that spanned over weeks.
Wow, bro.
Rocky Balboa in this shit. Nobody thought I was gonna win. Little black kid from Canada. Look at that. Look at me now.
Oh, I didn't know you were Canadian. I would have changed. Can I change my vote? No.
That's a conflict of interest.
Why isn't he talking? He's scaring me.
Wow, man. Wow.
Congrats, buddy.
Wow, that was amazing.
Hey, good job, guys.
Oh, shit. Wow, bro. That was better than TV. Shit, man.
Here, let me see. Okay, wait, hold on. I'll be right back. But actually, wait, Kayj, on Discord, send me your Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. Venmo preferred.
I was serious, man. Donate that.
Oh, you wanted me to donate it to an organization? Okay.
Tell us the organization. Kayj, tell us the organization.
Can you donate it to the Ayn Rand Institute?
It's my favorite Ayn Rand.
He said that. Okay.
Is that an actual institute?
What?
Yes, it's an actual institute.
Yeah.
Okay, send me the link to their webpage.
Oh my god. That's so ironic. Oh my god.
But yeah,
oh, what an ending. Holy shit. Oh
yeah,
my
what
god.
an event.
Oh, wow. That's crazy, man.
But everyone performed great. We love the event. The event was awesome. Thank you guys for being here. We are going to take audience questions. but I do know that Kayj has to go. And then yeah, we'll be donating the money to like the charity that Kayj said, or whatever, wherever he wants to send us to. Yeah, send me a link of their webpage. We'll send it to them. And yeah, this was really awesome. We're probably going to do this again. Absolutely, definitely. There's going to be more events in the future. And yeah, if anyone in this crowd of 128 people want to debate in the future tournaments, like send us a DM, and yeah, we'll try to get you in those tournaments. And then yeah, with that, we're going to go to audience questions. And yeah.
Wow, man. Wow. Okay, Forrest, go ahead.
Kayj, are you now able to leave your Amish community with this $300?
The $300 would have been going to feeding my horses and purchasing better Wi-Fi so I can debate on TikTok.
Okay, we love you. Goodbye.
Yeah, judges, you guys can drop if you want, or if you want to hang out, you know, you're more than welcome to.
It's up to you.
And thank you so much for being. Why did Herbal do that?
Thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate it, especially Kane, especially Friction, and thank you, Mitch. Yeah, thank you guys really for being our judges. We appreciate
Kayj,
it.
come back here, buddy. You want a post-game interview?
I'm doing life. I thought I was losing.
All my life you won, Twin. Let's go.
Yo, you're the underdog, man.
How does it feel to be victorious, bro? Everybody was hating on
Bro,
you.
everybody.
How does it
I
feel?
went on Discord and joined with like Jack and a bunch of people. They were flaming the fuck out of me for 3 hours straight. I couldn't show my face.
What do you have to say to everyone who doubted you, man? Let's hear it.
All of you, I did it. Nobody believes me, not a single motherfucker.
I agree.
W Canadian.
That's crazy.
No, Liam, don't run away now, buddy. Come back. You have to clock in at Dodge Donald, man.
Question? Yeah, I already got my uniform on, bro.
Oh, man. Hey, Detroit, that was a long-winded soliloquy. I fell asleep there, man. Come on.
Yeah, that was the first one that I actually took notes on.
That was good. They be hitting on us.
Sorry if I put you all to sleep.
Someone said Ayn Rand's racism in chat. Like she didn't write an essay on why racism is evil.
Hey, Detroit,
That
what do
person
you have
in
on
the
that
chat
now?
was also saying she was for slavery. Ayn Rand actually advocated against slavery. You cannot have a free market with slavery. Verbatim is what she said.
Liam disagreed.
Liam, whenever possible.
Yeah, go for it.
I heard you say that you were a feminist and an objectivist. Based on my research, Rand did not support the notion of feminism because she supports radical individualism. So that would encompass that each person, using their own rational faculties, has the ability to further their own life standard. She even went so far to call herself a chauvinist.
Yeah, I mean, Ayn Rand's commentary on feminism is broadly about like the waves of feminism that are egalitarian. So it's less of a commentary on like an objective view about the treatment of women with respect to them being individuals and deserving equal treatment, and more so a commentary on like what was the feminist movement at the time and their philosophical roots. So that's why I think the two things are consistent. Like if you understand feminism as an advocacy for the social, political, and moral equality of women, then Ayn Rand obviously endorses that. Is just like I said, all her statements are, it's kind of like an equivocation. She's not really talking about what I'm talking about when I say feminist.
Talking about feminism in that day and age, and you're talking about more of the current age definition.
Yeah, she's talking about feminism, the movement at the time, not feminism, the philosophical theory.
Thank you.
Okay, and with that,
I can't even answer questions. My voice is gone.
who wants to go next?
Can you give one more let's go, please?
If my voice rocks, none of you better clip it. All right. Just gotta channel my rational talos.
Kayj, wait a second.
You stupid bitch! I was mid inhale. No, fuck you. You're not getting any more. No, Haru ruined it.
Okay, like This is an idea for Robbie Rob, but me, like, I'm totally fine to donate it to. Well, okay, Jesus, this is gonna sound bad, but he was saying, I can't say this. Never mind.
No, just say. Wait, just want to just invite Robbie up?
Yeah, Robbie, come up.
Robbie, you want to come up?
Yeah.
Kayj, do it.
Supposed to do what?
Yeah.
Okay, well, just to preface this last one, Liam is a jargon jaguar, right?
Bro, you use more jargon than me. You use more jargon than me.
Yeah, I don't think this one's
not even
introduced all the analytic terms. Like what?
Yeah.
For reference, I reached out to Don Marks, and Don Marks said, "Look, I'm best friends with Liam. I don't think you're gonna win, but because I'm interested in helping the intellectually impoverished, I'll give you my best direction." And
yeah, I as soon as you said supererogatory, I knew that Don Marks had his fucking fingers all inside of you, because every time I talk to him, these are like kind of his objections. And like with the supererogatory, I mean, we could actually, like, part of it is like unironically, like when you run 3 arguments, it's like when you run 3 good arguments, like getting actually substantively speaking through it is like kind of difficult, because in cross-examination there's like a bottom line, right? So yeah, I mean, you can't really investigate them the way you should, but like I like to.
I thought for the time you did pretty well of getting through most of it. Like obviously not in much depth, but like covering it at least somewhat.
That's the thing, because I want to, with respect to the supererogatory stuff, like I mean, I can explain to you, like, I think the term supererogatory can apply, but like with respect to like more specified context. So for example, like obviously under my view, if something's good, it's morally required, because presumably being morally perfect is required more. That's like the strive of morality. So then like there's somehow like a sense of extra morality, which doesn't make sense. But if you said like, oh, I'm being a really good firefighter, then I can understand being supererogatory with respect to firefighter requirements, but not with respect to moral requirements broadly. And that's kind of my point.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there's supererogatory actions there. Like in the others, yeah. So I mean, it's really hard to explain that again when you have a bottom line. So.
Right, but so that is one reply, right? It's just to say, as a matter of like, you know, how the terms are used. The good is just what you should do, and vice versa, right?
I'm driving real quick. I just want to say congrats, Kayj. You actually did very well. Didn't expect that, so just want to say that to you,
You
Kayj.
fucking bet against me at every turn, you dumb bitch. Fucking second round, third round, fourth round. It was fake as fuck. You were actively levying your financial commitment against me.
What are you saying? What are you saying, Troyer?
Yeah. I mean, this is a move. I know Jack does this, right? Where he talks about, well, the good just is the action guiding norm. So it doesn't really make sense to say that it's something that's good to do, but not that you should do, right? Or not that you're morally required to do. And yeah, then it just comes down to, I think that's a broadly semantic question. Like when we use these terms in everyday discourse and when we think in these terms and so on, like, is it just that the good is what you should do and vice versa? Or could they come apart? I actually think in a matter of normal discourse, they do come apart, but that wasn't, that's where you want to go there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, another thing too is when I think people say the term supererogatory, it's less about it not being a requirement of morality, but more so like not something expected of the culture you live in. Like when someone says, like, wow, that's not required. I think their conception of requirement is like expected given the average person, which is usually like a mediocre moral agent. So
you could make a point like that to try to explain away maybe some intuition in favor of supererogation. Like,
yeah.
Maybe people feel like there's supererogation because, you know, they're thinking with respect to social expectations or societal expectations. But really, if you thought more carefully with respect to moral requirements, no.
That's kind of why I wanted to get clear on the semantics for the term, because if supererogation is literally like, oh yeah, there are actions that are above and beyond the call of morality, well then yeah, that it would be true that egoism is such and such, but that doesn't. But then I just would deny that such a thing exists. But if the semantics for supererogation were, oh, like if there are supererogatory actions, which is to say that people are acting above the like average of their culture morally, well then that doesn't make egoism false. Like that's kind of my point with the semantic reduction route. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Although I'm not sure, just trying to get a semantic reduction on things like good and obligation. I don't know how helpful that's going to. I mean, it's rhetorically maybe effective.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, it's just it's a structural thing. I just like it's all
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
But any more questions?
Yeah. Kayj, are you still planning on retiring from TikTok?
Oh shit.
Bro was like already preparing his loss and shit.
Yeah, if it's not clear, Kayj won. I see the comments to keep asking. I don't know why they keep asking.
Yeah, Kayj won.
Who won? Who won?
Kayj.
I did.
Kayj.
Oh, okay.
You gotta go, but Kayj, congrats, buddy. You did really good. Oh, is he gone? Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Fuck that guy, bro. That piece of shit. No, I'm kidding.
Dishonest piece of
Divinity,
shit.
bro.
Dishonest as fuck.
Did you like sack so because of the bet you had against you?
No, he was just
That's
naked.
what it is. Well, what you don't understand is that I
Is this
actually
an insider
put
trading
that. What you don't understand is that given that he was the underdog and that the yields for the betting would be higher, I actually bet on him, and then I actually threw it around.
Oh, that's crazy.
Because I'm an egoist.
Liam, maybe next time put some clothes on.
Yo.
Maybe.
But I think like both of you did like very well. Like you guys are definitely like the higher skilled debaters. But yeah, no,
I
think it went
told
very
you guys.
Not your
Black
business.
men always win.
Well, that's
okay.
an empirical
I mean-
claim, which is falsified, but
Divinity didn't finish
I'm
like
gonna
this.
rotate my
like
devices
analysis,
this way.
but-
I'm just kidding. White men always win. So either way,
well, my guy.
it would have been
Yeah,
a
get
white
him out
man
of there.
winning.
This is a professional platform, my guy. What are you on?
It's a joke about Kayj being half.
Oh. Well, okay. Well, but any further questions? Any
What is going on?
Fiction and friction? God, dude.
Can I give a fun fact?
Wait a minute.
Go for it.
Wait just a second here.
Hang on a second.
Wait just a minute.
Hold up.
This bottom of
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Like, can I give a fun fact?
Go for it.
I have actually beat Kayj in a debate about fast food.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to like see that one on film.
That's not true.
Well,
Good. So by
if the
transiting,
debate
Nobody
was
remembers that. Nobody remembers that.
if the debate was who can eat more of it, I think we know who won.
All right, that's too much.
Oh my god. Guys, please. Alright, so
Wait, Kayj could easily eat more fast food. He's like a body.
wait, is that it? Like that's it?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
That's it. All right. Well, I guess final words. Final words. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for following this tournament for the last 5 weeks. We really appreciate it, right? Like this project is me, OG Kylo, and AR trying to create a social media company where we bring professional debates to TikTok, and we just want more people to have like access to like professional content that will enable them to like educate themselves and maybe get them more enthusiastic about debate and maybe get more people to debate more. And yeah, we really appreciate it. We can't do this without you guys showing up, without you guys gifting the people who debate, without you guys gifting the hosts, the judges, and also just talking about it. I think all of us, me, OG Kylo, and AR, and also the people who debate, the people who judge, I think it excites us to see people talking about our debates in lives and getting really excited about this content that we put out. We work really hard on it. We organize, we schedule around people's jobs and personal schedules. We try to book like big clients, and we're going to continue to do so in the future and really try to build this up to like maybe one day we can start hosting like in-person conventions and in-person debates. That would be really awesome, right? To like rent out like a stadium, a mini stadium, and have people show up and shake hands with all of you guys and really show you guys how much we appreciate you guys. So we really try to make this professional. We're trying to bring professional debates to TikTok, and we can't do it without your support. So we genuinely appreciate it. OG Kylo, AR, if you guys have any further comments.
I think you summarized it pretty well.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you said everything that I would have said. And thank you, judges, man. We couldn't have done it without you, man. Appreciate all of you.
Yeah, I'll send you my PayPal. So.
Yeah. Send me your PayPal on the.
So we can request.
Well, you funny. Nah. Yeah, definitely. Friction. He was committed, man. Came every single week.
Yeah, I mean, I did every debate.
Yeah, we actually genuinely appreciate. Yeah, you came like every single weekend.
Hey, Coco, you forgot to say thank you for your candor.
Oh, yeah, we can conclude with the classic. I used that word because I watched like Divergent, the series, and I thought it was a cool word. But then I looked at the actual definition. I was using it wrong. But but we appreciate everyone being here, and thank you all for your candor. But yeah, we can't do it without you guys, and we hope to do more professional events in the future. And again, yeah, the goal is to host like in-person events and shake each and every single one of your hands and tell you guys thank you, and try to see if we can repay you guys for your support. And yeah, we can't do this without you, and we put our content out there and you guys like it, so we appreciate that. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
By the way, I say PayPal because we don't have in Canada, we don't have like Venmo or some of the other ones that you have in the States.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we'll do the PayPal.
Yeah. With that, yeah, we can call it a night, and then yeah, I'll edit it and I'll post it tonight, and yeah.
All right.
Good final.
Yeah, that was really good. Wow, man. Wow. All right.
Yeah. I'll see all you guys around, and stay tuned for there's a Day of Debates event coming up. I'll send you and OG Color the details, but yeah, I was planning a Day of Debates event with like certain debates and some people that I'm bringing in. Also, yeah, I took some of the debates you sent me, AR, and incorporated it. But yeah.
All right, man.